right, welcome back, Postmortem Radio. I am your host, Oz, joined by the blonde in front, Katie, looking as festive as always.
Ho, 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 you hoes.
Ho, ho, ho. And actually, I'll be Skull Crusher this evening, so refer to me as that. And we've also got JK. How's it going, man? I see you're not wearing any Santa attire. I couldn't find my Santa hat. I was telling Katie about that earlier, but yeah, I see you at least got some red on. See, you got your Faces of Death shirt. So
red and green. I see red and green.
Red and green.
Bit of red. I got a little bit.
You know
red.
what? It's a throwback to the exploitation of this kind of film. And Oz, I can honestly say, I heard it from John Leguizamo. Tonight, Christmas dies.
Yes,
Tonight,
I gotta say, and I was telling Janelle the other just a little while ago. I was like, she didn't go see it with me this time. She didn't think it was going to be her kind of movie, and I told her I was like, come on, give it a shot. She really didn't want to go see it, so Brandon and I went to see it. But I told her, I said, I couldn't help but think of Jay at this one part in the movie.
Yeah.
She was like, what? And I was like, well, there's a scene where he says Christmas dies tonight, and I immediately was like, Jay's gonna eat that shit up.
I love it. Speaking of that, ho ho, holy shit! There you go.
All right. Well, as you can see, our theme of discussion tonight is going to be the new film, David Harbour, John Leguizamo, Violent Night. But before we jump in, film of choice tonight, I did want to take a couple of minutes to talk about a Hollywood icon that we lost. I know it's been a while since we've done an episode, but someone who was really very dear to my heart. We lost Ted White, unfortunately, right around Halloween, and a lot of people don't maybe not know who Ted White is, but a lot of things he's responsible for are how films are made today, specifically action sequences and stunts, things like that. The guy's he was just a Hollywood legend. And I mean, to double some of the icons of Hollywood that he did, John Wayne and Clark Gable and James Garner. I mean, the list goes on and on. The guy was just he was just a total class act, and he loved his fans and was such a humble, down-to-earth guy. He was a true gentleman, and I got to meet him several times. And I've always gone on record saying that final chapter of Friday the 13th was my favorite in the franchise, and for a lot of different reasons. Part of the reason too is because it had my favorite Jason in it. I think he played my favorite portrayal of Jason, because everybody got it in a bad way. He was just, in that film, I think he was more menacing than I've ever seen in any film, and I think that comes through. And that being said, and then having to meet the guy and talk with him and hear his stories and things over the years, he not only was my favorite Jason, but he became one of my favorite just people. And this world is a lesser place without Ted in it. It was just very, very sad to hear of his passing. That's I just really wanted to mention that a couple of minutes and say condolences to his family. And I know Sean was, I talked to Sean Clark about it, and he was close with Ted as well. So just wanted to give a little kudos out to Mr. White, who I'm actually in the process of reading. I did not know until Sean mentioned it. He's got a memoir of his. I don't know if you can see that. It's not coming up. Oh, there it is.
There we go. There you go.
Yeah, it's an incredible book. And if you've ever sat on a panel and listened to some of Ted's stories, he always steals the show, but this thing is full of those. I'm sitting here read this and I just chuckle. And Janelle's like, okay, tell me the next. It's just great stuff. great stuff. So I can highly recommend it.
I met him once. He was a true gentleman, so kind. In two of my favorite movies, Starman, where you actually got to see him as, and then, as you said, Jason Final Chapter, which I think is the best Friday the 13th and one of the best horror films like of the 80s and out there. Anyway, and yeah, he was just a class act. So thank you for starting off with that, because he deserves a huge tribute.
And I will throw this into it, and Oz and Katie very well said. I didn't know Ted White as well as others did, but I will say this. Supposedly his last convention at Horror Hound before he was going to retire, he was so amazing with the fans, and to see him sit with Kane Hodder talking about Friday the 13th was absolutely wonderful. Great to just exchange a few words. And whether or not you're a fan of the classics or not, whether you know every horror movie or you don't, a lot of these actors and actresses and performers who come to these conventions have done so many projects beyond horror. And actually, I'm going to pull from Romancing the Stones, Michael Douglas, Kathleen Turner, as one of my favorite from Ted White. But I'll always love Roadhouse and his stunts. So I'll throw that out there as well.
Roadhouse.
So you will be missed, Mr. White.
Yeah.
Wait, did he do the stunts for Romancing the Stone, or who was he?
No, he was in
He
it.
was
He played
at the very
Hugo.
beginning.
Yeah.
At the very beginning when she's talking about, she's finishing that novel.
Yeah.
He's the cowboy who comes in and
Oh,
That's such a great cameo.
Bastards always have brothers. Okay, yeah.
Yes.
Bastards
that's
always
him.
have brothers, and they ride like.
Yeah.
Oh
But
God,
but
I
he
love
did
Romancing
so
the
much.
Stone. That's a good one. Ah, yeah.
That's a good
See,
one.
another good one too that he did with where you actually get to see him is that he did with Jeff Bridges, Against All Odds. At the
Oh,
end.
yeah.
Oh yeah.
He's the security guard at the end who he fights, and he told a great story about how he actually did really bulldog Jeff Bridges through that table. And he said he was just such a trooper because they had such a limited amount of space that he had to really be rough with Jeff Bridges, and just had to let him know, like, hey, I'm going to be rough with you. I'm not going to hurt you, but it is what it is. But yeah, that's another good one where you actually get to see, that it is actually Ted White. So we love you, Ted. You will be missed for sure.
You're always on Santa's nice list.
Yes.
That's true.
No coal for you. No coal.
No coal for you.
No.
Otherwise, he'll beat you up.
Yeah.
All right. And yeah, I do have a little, it's mostly white, but I do have a little bit of red. And I just got back from Lexington. My alma mater was in the state championship game today, and they just won 3 straight. And hopefully next year my son will be on that team. So it was kind of fun to go down there. And so this one I think is definitely for the season. And I know it's been a little bit since we've got together and do an episode. But just in case this may, with the holidays coming up, we don't know what schedules are going to be like, things like that. But, just in case this is the last one for a little bit, I thought it was important that we did at least get a holiday episode in. And I think the timing's perfect. This is a perfect film to do it. You want to kick it off, Katie, and let's hear what you think. What did you think about?
Sure. Violent Night. Let's start off the season's beatings with, one of my new favorite holiday films, directed by Tommy Wirkola, who also wrote Dead Snow, starring the only man I could see playing Santa with this, this je ne sais quoi that he has, David Harbour. Also Alex Hassel as Jason Lighthouse, John Leguizamo, Beverly D'Angelo, Leah Brady, Edie Patterson, and Alexis Louder. This film, if you want to put a little cinema stew in, is Die Hard, Home Alone, Die Hard 2, Elf, Army of the Dead, with a little bit of a Gremlins mix in there, just a little bit, just that dramatic monologue that you don't expect to happen, but then all of a sudden it does. The stunts are amazing. There's like 18 people who worked on the stunts, so I couldn't do it. The music is fantastic. There's 20 people who worked on that, so I'm not going to say it. But the original music by Dominic Lewis, awesome. The cinematography by Matthew Weston. Honestly, at the end, I thought it had some similar Roger Deakins-esque cinematography from 1917 that I did not expect to see, but it was beautiful with this fire and light, awesome special effects, fantastic practical effects. I mean, David Harbour as Santa takes a beating, but I mean, he's playing a Santa who, he's kind of sick of humankind. Like everyone he's got more people on the naughty list than the nice. And when he's doing his, night that he usually does, because Santa actually does exist, he meets the Lighthouse family that are at their family compound. They are doing their traditional Christmas get together. Edie Patterson, who plays Alva Lighthouse, you may know her from Righteous Gemstone. She is amazing, fantastic comic relief. I always love her. She's always the best horrific older sister, and I want to see her in more things. I'm a little bit pissed though that on IMDb, of the first 20 people, she's not even on there. And she's, I feel like, a significant, I don't know how they do, it's not even by alphabetical order, but it's like, come on, let's put her closer to the top. Seeing Beverly D'Angelo in a very 180 from what we know her from a very classic National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation. Fantastic. Would actually had its screen day, I believe, yesterday, 2 days ago. So that's funny that it, Violent Night comes out today. But it's interesting to see this family dynamic. They hate each other. That's when the Die Hard kind of thing comes in, because you've got this, they're like a hugely rich family. It's pretty obvious, though, that the caterers are not necessarily caterers. I mean, they look like they're mercenaries. So when that was like, that wasn't really a twist. And then you've got a little bit of a Die Hard 2 factor in, which I'm not going to spoil it for everybody. But when Santa comes in to deliver a present, unfortunately, he gets, kind of trapped with this family that's, being held hostage for money. And then he can't go back up or he can't leave because all of a sudden, bullets start flying and the reindeer go away. That's funny how he treats the reindeer.
That was hysterical.
That was hysterical. I love the Christmas magic that he has. I love that he also is not, he's drunk. He's drunk as hell. At one time he throws up onto someone from the sleigh.
Yeah, that was.
When the fighting starts happening, David Harbour, I really hope you didn't hurt yourself, but damn, those stunts looked like you did. He took a punch, he took a bullet, he took a knife wound. Santa was getting beat down, but you also see a little bit of in the film. He can take a licking and keep on ticking. At one point in the middle of the film, there is a little bit where you see who Santa, the origin story of him. When you get to that and you get to the heart of who Santa really is, it's someone in the middle, full body chills. You'll know when you see the film. At that point, and I don't think I've ever said this regarding a film ever. Middle of that film, when he picks up a utensil, I'll say a utensil. It's not really a utensil. When he picks up a weapon, full body chills. I wanted prequel. I wanted sequel. I wanted franchise right there. I didn't care how it ended. That right there, done. I'm like all about seeing this on so many different levels. I love that it had the dramatic effect where Santa, just delivers presents. He can't get involved with the family. He can't get involved with people's lives because that's not what he is. He's there for one night. And yet with this, it's not like he meant to get involved. They started shooting at him. So when he got stuck there, so he's kind of, and I also like the fact that there's Christmas magic that even he doesn't understand. He doesn't. It's like he's Santa. I do my thing. That's it. I think it had some awesome barbaric kills. I mean,
Yeah,
people
it
got
did.
killed. Woo! Heads off, jaws off, freaking crushed. The last kill, maybe not the last kill, but the second to last kill, one of my favorites that I've seen this year. I mean, if you want comedy, if you want the action, if you want all those effects, I say go see it. It came out December 2nd. I think it's Universal. Good for you.
Yeah.
David Harbour, I love you. I think you're amazing. I think this was a fantastic cast. And yeah, I say go see it.
Okay.
All
Wow.
right.
That was a mouthful.
Yeah.
Yes, it was. Yes, it was.
Well, you want me, or what do you want to do, Jay?
If you want to,
you
can
want to
go.
follow that?
I'll follow that.
Okay.
First of all, I don't necessarily know if I agree about franchise. I got to tell you,
that was one thing I was going to say.
I think
a lot of what she said I do agree with. I don't
I don't know about it.
I don't want to see sequels. I don't know where else you go. I think the story's. I think it is what it is. The one thing I wish you mentioned the origin story. Yes, you do see what he was before, but it doesn't do anything to explain how he became Santa.
Exactly. Hence a prequel.
I don't know. I want to sit through another.
I don't know.
Those to find out.
Don't.
I would rather them just tell
that.
me and be a very good one-shot film.
It reminds me, Oz and Katie. This had something that was very magical and special about it. I don't disagree about it. It's well worth seeing in the theaters. In fact, one of the things, Katie, I think you left out was Mortal Kombat, because that kill you're talking about, he's up there, and I'm waiting for them to say fatality.
Yeah.
Santa Claus.
Yeah.
Dun, 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 dun,
Exactly.
Dun, 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 dun.
Exactly. But I have to say, I really enjoyed this film. I went into it with not really low expectations, but I knew it was going to be a lot of fun. This is the kind of cinema you sit there and you shut your brain off and you just enjoy the kills and the brutality and the Christmas heart and cheer, because I think the real star of it is the little girl. The little girl
Absolutely.
is fantastic. And
Absolutely.
all the homages that they pull from that Katie talked about. Just the sequence with Home Alone and the way that they do that, and the reality between visual and practical effects. That nail through the jaw. Oh my God. And then the bowling ball out the side of it. And folks, there's going to be spoilers, as always. We talk about
Spoiler.
But this was a film that was beautiful. It was beautiful. It was disturbing. It was full of holiday cheer. David Harbour was wonderful as Santa. I love the shot, one of the first ones, and Katie, you were talking about it, where he's drunk as a skunk, and he wakes up and he's hiding behind the tree, and the guy comes in, the diehard ripoff lackey comes in with the gun. And one of the great things about this, and let me make sure I have his name correct. One of the great things about it is that Matthew Weston, who was also the DP on Dead Snow, Tommy's film that we talked about before.
Okay.
He even though there was a lot more people involved than there was with Dead Snow, it was a beautifully visual film. The lighting was fantastic, and holiday films, especially if you're going to make them horror holiday films, you've got to utilize the lights. You've got to use it. Better Watch Out, Chris Peckover's film, is a great example of that, when the lead character is wrapped up in the lights. The lead female character is wrapped up in the lights, and it's just chilling. It's one of the most chilling scenes in that film. But for Violent Night, the way that they use the lights is wonderful. The way that they make him look larger than everyone else is incredible until the end. By the way, shout out to John Leguizamo, The Menu, and Violent Night in a 2-week span. The guy is killing it at the box office. Hats off to a guy and a performer who is just absolutely amazing. He's done so much amazing work for decades now. But getting back to the film, Violent Night, I can agree more with Katie. It's definitely a film that you should go see. And one of the great things about this film, I mean, there's a lot of things that are just wrong about this film. But the one thing that absolutely is right is you got to see it with the crowd, because some of the reactions in the theater last night were priceless. When some of the falls, some of the kills, some of the jokes, because, you know, it's comedy, it's horror, it's Christmas. They really get a lot of things right with this film. So it's definitely a good film. But I will say this, if you want to see a better film that is in the same vein of brutality, see Santa Slays with Bill Goldberg, because that is a film that takes this and amps it up. It's not high production quality like this one is, where it's got a lot of polish on it. But man, talk about a Santa that is one messed up character. So I want to throw out there, but nonetheless, Violent Night, well worth it. Oz, off to you.
Yeah, I agree with both of you. I am so glad I went to see this. I went in with a very open mind, not again, not low expectations, but just, I think, you know, if you see the trailer, it kind of sets you up for what to expect. You know, you're not going to a you know, It's a Wonderful Life or some kind of you know, Oscar nominated film. I mean, if you're going in there, like you said, Jay, I think it was perfect analogy, turn your brain off and to be entertained for an hour and 45 minutes.
Christmas dies tonight.
Well, you know what, Oz, that's one thing though. I got to be honest with you. I think the runtime was a bit too long for my liking for this film. This was an hour and a half, maybe an hour and 35 minutes, almost 2 hours. It's a little bit long for me.
It could have been 90 minutes. It could have been a good 90-minute movie. Yeah, for sure. But I think, you know, a lot of the performances, I mean, Katie, as you said, David Harbour, I mean, he killed it as Santa. I thought, you know, at first I thought when he was in England and everything, I was like, are they going to try and tell me that Captain Britain is turned into Santa Claus or something? But I loved, you know, the scene you're alluding to where, you know, he vomits all over somebody. But don't forget, there's also the scene where he's, you know, urinating as a out the where he's flying around and but yet he gets upset with one of his reindeer that leaves a log on the roof of a house, you know. And he cusses out that's the funniest thing is he acts like the little bit of time where has shots with and scenes with the reindeer, it's almost like they have this dysfunctional relationship, almost like an old married couple where they're bickering. That's the kind of how it appeared to me. It was just so funny because I mean he's cussing. I mean he's going down the net line. I mean I think the only reindeer he didn't mention was Rudolph, and I mean he's just cussing them out, calling them some bastards and stuff. It was great. I think Beverly D'Angelo was really, really good as the older rich bitch.
The heiress. Oh
yes,
boy.
She
was matriarch of the family, Gertrude.
Yes, and she was, you know, she was hilarious. A lot of the way she was on the phone going back and forth, and then it ends up that it was the senator she was talking to.
Oh, that's what I got.
That was pretty good. And then the family dynamic was kind of cool. You know, that it was funny because the kid, son, what was his
Bertrude.
Yeah. I mean, as soon as he stepped up and he was like, oh yeah, look at, and he's like, you know, live streaming it, I was like, oh my God, this is Blake. I was like, this is my kid. This is my kid. And you know, he was pretty funny, I think, and everybody can relate to this functional family, you know, showing up at Christmas, seeing family that you can't really stand. the brother and the sister, button heads, I thought was pretty funny. The her new, whether it was husband or boyfriend or whatever, who was the B action star, John Claude Van Damme dipshit or whatever.
Dipshit. Yes.
That was great. That was one of my favorite
that was a
lines.
great
Good for
line.
you.
That was a great line. One of my favorites. And then he gets freaking lit up like a Christmas tree. I mean, sorry to use that analogy, but I think it fits in this kind of movie. But yeah, like you said, Katie, the kills in this are there's a good amount of gruesome, gory kills, beheadings, and then you've got the booby traps with the kid and everything, and I mean it was great. I really enjoyed that. And John Leguizamo, I think you said it pretty well, Jay. I've been a big fan of the guy for years, and he seems to get more of the asshole roles than the bad guy than the good guy. But you know what? I mean, I think he's able to pull off pretty much anything.
Oh yeah.
And I think he did a really great job. His death scene was
epic.
That was pretty brutal.
Epic.
My favorite scene, my favorite death in the film.
Yeah.
It was pretty gruesome. Yeah, again, I mean, and I think Katie and I were kind of alluding to it before we started the episode. I think one of my favorite things is the music in the movie, because he is literally David Harbour once he gets this tool.
Bryan Adams, man.
That's what I was gonna say. He's going through these military dudes with these automatic weapons and everything, and these mercenaries, and he's going through them like a knife through warm butter. And to be listening to Bryan Adams while he's doing it, I couldn't help but laugh while I should be watching it thinking, oh God, but in my mind I am, but I can't that doesn't come out because I'm too busy laughing at the same time because I'm listening to this Bryan Adams song. So and that was really unexpected. I'd expected some kind of, a certain amount of humor, but I think this was a good, almost, I hate to use the word perfect, but it was a really, really good mix of, comedy with holiday movie and an action heist with a little bit of horror and gore sprinkled in there.
Yep.
That's kind of how I look at it now. Do I want them to this to become a franchise? I would say no. I would say leave it alone. But like I said, the one thing I wish it had, I thought it was cool that they showed what he was before he was Santa Claus. But I guess maybe they're holding that back for a prequel so that they can explain it later. I don't know. But I think that's what was, because when I got up for the movie, after hearing that really funny Christmas song at the end as the credits are rolling about Santa Claus, don't be bad, Santa Claus is mad, or something like that. He's basically Santa Claus is going to fuck you up if you're bad. I left thinking, I was like, okay, that was really cool. They showed, but they didn't show what happened that took him from Viking warrior to Santa Claus.
Well, because it's about just this night, not necessarily about Santa Claus's story. So that's why I can understand, because I want to see, I think another thing that could be in the franchise or prequel is Mrs. Claus, because
yes.
she's got a part.
That's what I expected. And then I told Janelle this. I said, when I saw that Beverly D'Angelo was in this movie, I said, I bet she's Mrs. Claus. And I was surprised that she wasn't. Now, given that you said, you want to do another and save that explanation, I think they should have saved the Viking warrior part of it too. If the story is just about this night and this heist and him rescuing this family, then they should have left that out. Because it just, it made me, as I'm leaving, thinking there was something missing.
Agree to disagree. I actually like that they had that because it showed that he can kill some motherfuckers like nobody's business, and that is what he did. I think that's why they needed to show a little bit of that, because it's like all of a sudden you got this fat guy who's drunk, and then next thing you know, he's like beating people's asses. Like, wait a minute, how is that? It's kind of like Die Hard. You don't see John McClane be a cop and shoot up people, but you know that he was a cop, just from what he said. To show Santa Claus with the Nordic, tattoos, which I thought Gaelic, Nordic, whatever, I thought was amazing. Seeing the scars, which maybe he had a little bit, maybe he went straight from Black Widow to this. It's like, look, guys, I've already got some stuff I got going on. Why don't you just leave these, do some tattoo stuff. That'll work fine with me. I could see that happening, but it was just for a 5-second like a 5-second image of him, with that mountain of dead bodies behind him, shirtless, Viking. By the way, spoiler, we already told this. I think that was a good, it's like, okay, you know how to kick some ass and you know how to kick a lot of it. It's like, this is good. So I know when you pick up that hammer that you had some experience with this, and it's just going to be like riding a, skull crushing bike. And that's why I'm glad that they had that little bit of him as a Viking. But again, I think that would be a great prequel to see, him going from that to then going, to Naughty and Nice and, the unexplained Christmas magic. That I like that it's not explained either. I mean, he's like, I don't get it either. I don't know, but it just is what it is. So it's like,
well, I will say this, that I think the box office will say a lot about whether there is a sequel or a prequel to this film. But Santa Claus, I agree with Katie. I think the Viking aspect is needed in this, because you can't make Santa Claus a psychopath kind of like he is without some back to it,
Yeah.
And the simple fact is the writing, Pat Casey, and I forget who's the other writer on this, Katie.
I didn't do the, let me see.
Josh Miller and Pat Casey. They've done several projects recently, including the Sonic the Hedgehog franchise. One thing that you look at their work, they know how to do, whether it's big budget or it's lesser, is to kind of craft characters that sit in that gray area. One of the things I loved about it was how every character, even the little girl, there's just something not right about each of those characters. That little girl, to create all those traps, that's some Jigsaw kind of stuff. Okay.
Yeah.
That's some Jigsaw. Macaulay Culkin, Kevin McAllister.
She had just watched.
Right.
Alone,
sure.
So.
What, how much is she worth? Yeah, I'm sure it's nothing. Right. I'm sure it's nothing, but Alex Hazel, who plays the son, he is great, because that is one of my favorite parts, when it finally comes out that he's the one. Spoiler alert, he's the one that moved the money and was going to steal the money, and it wasn't actually her. And then to have him and Dudley D'Angelo walk out to and go, "I'm so proud of you. This is exactly what a lighthouse does." It's such a great moment, because every character in that has a reason to do what they're doing, and every character sits in that gray area. And even if it's a popcorn movie, you need that. And for Santa Claus to have that Viking heritage and to be able to wield that sledgehammer, fantastic. And I love the scene. Jim Page, who's the editor on this, who's done so much amazing work. The fight scenes are great because there's so much in how he puts it together. But when that ring comes off from Mrs. Claus and rolls to the sledgehammer, it's such a wonderful transition. And I want to give props that is awesome.
Full body chills.
That was
Full body chills when he picks that up. I'm like, ooh, I wanna bite your candy cane right now.
Well, speaking of that, I'm glad you bring that up, Katie, because that's another great scene where he brings it down to a point and he starts just stabbing everyone with it. It's great.
Right.
Yeah. It's like, oh shit. But I mean, the cast was so good. Like Alexis Louder, who played Linda, she's in this movie called Cop Shop that's on Peacock right now. It's streaming on Peacock. She's fantastic. There's so many I couldn't recognize. It's like besides Edie Patterson, and Beverly D'Angelo and David Harbour, and John Leguizamo, but with the family, it's like their faces look so familiar, and I was like, I know you from something, but I don't know you. And like Alex Hassel, who plays Jason, he's in The Boys. He's in The Tragedy of Macbeth. So he's already worked with the Coen brothers. So good for him. And then, Leah Brady, I don't know. She's a little girl who plays Trudy. But I mean, yeah, she said she watched Home Alone. I've watched Home Alone. I don't know how to do those goddamn booby traps. It's like, yeah, what kind of jigsaw, memory do you have that you're able, and also how much crap is in that attic that they're able to do that? Like, my God. Like, and she's like,
hey,
all
they're
right,
rich, man.
yeah.
God knows
It's like,
what that's up
dude, you freaking really hurt someone, and then you ended up killing. I mean, that guy ended up dying. It's like, you did that, little girl. Like, you killed someone.
Yeah,
But
It's
no,
so true.
doesn't matter,
No. Oh my God. And when you look at this film, I mean, even the mother is just picks up that gun, and that's one of the funniest moments of the film, in my opinion, when she shoots the soldier in the crotch, and he sits there through a good 30 seconds going, "Oh, my balls! How'd you shoot me in the balls?
Yeah.
Why did you do this?" He's just going on and on, because everyone in this movie, when you see it, just about everyone in this movie dies almost instantaneous. The comedy is saved for a select few.
Yeah.
And hats off to Brendan Fletcher, who plays Krampus in this
Yes.
film. He is so good. He is such a great character actor. He's been for so many years now.
Yes.
But he's wonderful. And when he's got to face off against the female side of the family, it's absolutely priceless. And of course, Bertrude. I can't forget Bertrude. My apologies with that.
You were correct when you said the female side.
Yeah, but Bertrude's like Bertrude and the grandmother and the mother and the aunt start beating him with that. It's like, is he dead? He's dead. And then that pop up, and oh my God, it's just great. It's just great.
And then Alba gets him. It's like, all right, damn, that's good. Let's go.
Yeah, but I agree. I actually saw it in XD, and so it was really, really.
The Dolby sound was phenomenal.
Yeah,
I saw it in Dolby. It was wonderful, so good.
Yeah, we saw it in XD, and I thought it was extremely entertaining and well worth the even paying the few extra bucks for the XD as opposed to the Dolby. Definitely worth it. So I mean, my final take on it is, go out and check it out. It came out early December. You got all month before Christmas. So, kids, when they get out of, get Christmas break, whatever, either a weekend or whatever, take the family and go see a very different but entertaining Christmas movie.
And I'll throw this in, Katie. I don't mean to interrupt, but I'm going to go all the way back when I was a much younger man. One of my I took someone on a date to Jingle All the Way a long time ago.
Oh.
And for those who are looking for a great date movie during December, it has everything as we've talked about and more. It's a fun movie to take a date on, because you guys can sit there and laugh and you can have a good time. And then there's some moments where you're obviously, he or she is going to grab you because of the horror beats or the action beats or the kills. It's just everything for it. So I take someone to go see it right now. Just not anyone that's underage.
Yes,
Right.
but as you said, Jay, see it in the theater. This is a good film to see in the theater.
Yeah.
Like, all of the fights, all of the action. I mean, you've got snowmobiles, you've got all the different guns, the booby traps. It's good to see it in the theater with that captive audience, but get that feeling with the audience. It's like, I saw this at a press promo screening to hear all the people with the press. Like, I mean, if they're howling and doing this stuff, because believe me, that does not happen, and took a little while, but then once they got into it, they're like, oh man, yeah, I'm just letting it out. That says a lot. And this is a film that should be enjoyed in the theater. And I mean, honestly, it's great to see David Harbour on a big screen. Like, I mean, that's one of my favorite things. But this was such a fun film. I'm so glad it's, you know, a way to start December the right way, and go see it. It came out today, December 2nd. I don't know when we're releasing it, but it came out December 2nd. Go see it. We need people in the theater to see these films so that way, you know, generate more stuff. I know it's still crazy times, but believe me, go see it. It's worth it. It's amazing. Maybe you'll get one of these hats. Probably not, but you might. You might. I don't know.
Probably not. We didn't have any cool swag or anything.
Nope.
But then again, we never do. So Katie always gets all the cool shit.
Yes,
I
she
do.
If
does.
you want to get some cool stuff, then go see a movie with Katie.
There you go. There you go.
Well, what one final thing you said? One of your favorite lines was the Jean-Claude Van dipshit. How about the stocking stuffer scene? That I thought that was one of my favorites as well.
My favorite line was, "You brought my ho 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 back,"
Mine, let's see. You know what? I'm gonna go
or you
with
gave me my ho 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 back.
I'm gonna go with the one where he stuffed the grenade down his pants and he walked away and goes, "Nah, I gotta see this." And he
Yeah.
turned around and watched
That's what I was
exploded.
That's what I was talking about. He puts it in this, and he was like stocking stuffer for you, and he,
Yeah.
and he smacks him on the
okay.
ass, and then he walks away. And he's like, "Nah, I gotta watch it."
Watch this.
And
Boom.
he-
It's great.
And it's so
Yeah.
funny because, I mean, it really should have been. It took longer than it should have, but you see the guy back there wrestling around trying to fight it with, and just knowing it's coming. But, and then he just that was great.
And I want to say one more thing, because the more I think about it, you know, this film obviously has, I can only imagine the leash they were allowed to go off of to be able to do some of the stuff they did. But this is a film that just about every piece of it, I'll go back to what you brought up, Oz, is perfectly placed. You have a tremendous castings across the board, including Beverly D'Angelo, who is coming back. We haven't seen her in forever, and it makes me think of Christmas Vacation whenever I see her, which is obviously another amazing film. But, you know, you have a familiar crew with Tommy that's working on this, which always helps to have that shorthand. It's kept to primarily one location the entire time. David Harbour is a wonderful casting as Santa Claus, because they allow him to be David Harbour. That's like John McClane is Bruce Willis. That's right. Bruce Willis. Well, that's what David Harbour is going to be, what you see on the screen. So for those folks who want to see a movie also that checks all the boxes, just about, this is that kind of movie. If you're not a fan of holiday movies, go see it for other reasons, because it's definitely something that you don't see a whole lot of, especially on the big screen.
Right. Agreed.
So yeah, so it got the
us.
hat trick. Everybody liked it. Woohoo!
Go see
It got 2 reindeer's paws for me.
There you go. Christmas doesn't die tonight.
That's right.
No, this episode might die, but Christmas does not. And kind of what you were saying too, Jay. I'm curious to see. I really hope that they do come out with a Blu-ray that is maybe an unrated version, because I would really, as brutal and as, you know, hard to watch as some of these fights and some of these kills are. I mean, I would love to see it unedited, and see what they had to scale down to get it out in the theaters with an R rating.
I'd love to hear the commentary with John Leguizamo.
Yes.
Because he is a very unusual. Everyone else around him is a stereotypical villain.
Yep.
And what you would expect. He is not. And even with the fight scenes with him and Dave, I mean, you know, that's a great editor where you can't tell certain scenes when it's him versus the stunt guy. It's a great job of piecing it together. But he's so funny. The scene where it's like he's going over things and you pushed your grandpa down the stairs. I didn't do that. Well, maybe I did do that.
Yeah.
He's just got such a release because he understands how to deliver comedy. And most of the cast understood the comedic timing that really punctuated a lot of those great scenes. So I would love to hear from John Leguizamo on that commentary, because it's just like Robin Williams doing 1 Hour Photo. He very rarely does a disturbing role, but to listen to him talk about doing a role like that, or Insomnia, or Death to Smoochie, is really interesting because they are going to different places they don't usually go. And John Leguizamo plays a jerk actor in The Menu, and now he plays the head villain in Violent Night. It's definitely worth listening to what he's got to say if they do a commentary. But it just again, it shows the brilliance across the board of what this film is.
Absolutely. All right. Anything else to add before we wrap up? Katie?
Ho ho ho.
Ho ho ho. Seasons beatings, everyone, and heathens greetings. Yeah. Let those sleigh bells ring and go give your money to the movie gods and go see this film.
Yeah, definitely check it out. Make sure you leave any comments, questions, things like that in the comments below, and we will see you in the next episode. Take care of you, everybody. Stay safe, and we'll see you in the next one.
All right.
See better, watch out, folks. See better, watch out.
Be
You
careful.
like this? See it.
You're gonna get on the naughty list. Be nice.
Be on the naughty list.
Get some coal.
That's what I loved
Happy
about.
holidays.
I loved that too, about where he was like, that was, he says, telling the girl that was naughty, and I immediately thought it was kind of like a nod to me. It made me immediately think of Silent Night, Deadly Night, where he's naughty.
Oh, you can only imagine the films that they pulled for this one across the board, but again, it works. It works.
Yeah.